Welcome to the Troy Kearns podcast. We discuss real estate investing, entrepreneurship, and business to help you retire and become financially free. Make sure you share this podcast with someone who could benefit from it and leave us a 5-star review. It truly helps me out. This show will mentor you towards financial freedom. If I can do it, so can you.
It was my first deer hunt today. Got the buck, 6.8 point buck in the crosshairs. Shot it, can't find it. You know, we'll see what happens there. But so one of my students, I called him after I did it, and he's like, well, dude, it's like blood is like trying to find needle in a haystack. He's like, it's like the drops are like, he said, minuscule. So I'm over, he's like on the ground with a flashlight. But what I was telling you earlier is like, when you're out there, I don't know how about you, but like your senses are so fucked up in the regular world. Like we have so many things hitting our serotonin, so many things hitting our nerves and shit like that. They're always like just off. And when you're out in the wild, like you just tune in. Mm-hmm. And when I was first sitting out there, I was like, kind of like, you know what I mean? Like just like having a hard time relaxing. And then as time came on, I like kind of got relaxed. And I'm just like sucking into the senses. I'm like, the geese are flying, the dog's barking. And then as this thing like 2 hours in, I could hear this rustling. And I'm like, that's an animal. And I pick up my crossbow and I line up on it and I pull the trigger and I said, shit.
No hesitation.
None. Zero. Now let me be clear. So the first time I killed something, I had never been hunting. I went to Mississippi with my friend Brian, who bought me my crossbow. And he took me out there. We went into a deer stand. We went hog hunting, and I didn't really, it's just hogs. So who cares, right? And so I pulled the gun. They were like moving all around. Hogs move super quick. They're not like deer. They move. So I'm like, yeah. And so I'm about 100 yards away, but I'm in a nice scope. I shoot it. He's like, kill it. And I'm like, and I shoot it. And he goes, you got it. And I couldn't see, I'm like, I think I did. And so I got one anyways. And so I didn't feel anything about that one. I didn't know would I feel bad. It was kind of weird. You kill an animal. It's a bean, right? You feel some sort of way, but it wasn't like the end of the world. And so when I first decided I'm going to try to get a deer out here in my backyard, and I said, I don't know if I'm going to be okay with this. And so I decided to do something to test myself. And so I started trapping raccoons, and I would execute them. And I said, just because you're not going to let them go and then make them as pets. And there's a really big problem with raccoons out here, and they're really nuisance animals. And so, that's a cold.
Like in geese in Las Vegas, same thing.
Well, yeah, and that's a cold-blooded thing because you got to get up close and personal with those guys when they're in your trap. And so I did that a couple times, and I said, okay, I can do that. But I think there's something to be said. Like, I didn't like that because you're wasting it. It's like you're throwing something away, right? And but when I'm gonna eat something, and there's deer all over the side of the fucking road here in Missouri. There's deer everywhere. There's like deer down the road, and I see them. They're jumping all over the fucking place. They got too many of them here. I want to get one. I want to feed my family. I want to learn how to do it, and I'm excited about doing it. So I'm pissed I can't find the fucking deer. So I'm going to go out and look again tomorrow.
Yeah. And the good news is it's super cold there, so the meat will be fun.
I feel like you've been a hunter before, man.
Yeah.
Because like you're saying shit that I wasn't thinking about. Like the guy I called up, my student, he's like telling me what to do, and he's like, "Well, the good news is you can go look in the morning because it's cold outside and it'll be good." And I'm like, I'm not even thinking that way. I'm just like, so
if it was sweltering heat, it would be
spoiled. Yeah. So, all right. So let's touch base on Somalia. All right. So Minnesota, what's going on there? Have you been paying attention?
Yeah, the leering centers. They're teaching kids how to leer.
Who's going to jail?
Well, Listen, I don't really care if the Somalis go to jail. I mean, if they're here on some kind of visa or temporary resident program or even a permanent resident situation, I think they should be deported back to Somalia. If you commit a felony and you're here as a guest of this country, you got to go.
Yeah.
But the people that I really want to see perp walked for sure are the politicians that allowed this to happen, that supported this, that benefited from it. You know,
Who's the top one you want to see? Ilhan Omar or Tim Walz?
And Ilhan Omar is just, I mean, she's a nuisance, right? I don't really,
I
don't really care which one it is per se, so long as it's the one that actually had something to do with it.
Yeah. I just have a feeling she had a lot to do with it.
Oh, for sure. She lobbied for the community. I mean, she's the representative of that community. She's the representative of that congressional district. So
her wealth went up 3,500%.
Well, they don't know exactly what it is. You know, when you're in Congress, I think you're allowed to declare somewhere between 5 and 30 million. But I think her net worth was only a couple $100,000 when she went in. So they haven't really figured out if it's the 5 million or the 30 million or somewhere in between. But again, you know, she's got a massive social media presence. So there's a chance that a lot of the money that she's gotten is from ads that come up on her social media and things like that. So again, I don't want to jump to the conclusions. Do I like the
fuck out of here, man?
Right? Do I like the things that she says about every other issue? I don't. I just, you know, it's more.
What has she
more
done?
Important for me? It's more important for me that the person or the people who really did it get perp walked. Like, that's how it's got to be.
Well, of course, I'm not saying that she did anything. I'm saying that I don't like her. And I bet she probably did something.
Oh, I mean, I'm not a fan either.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I don't want somebody to go to jail who didn't do anything, but if it's somebody I don't like, I hope they did it, you know?
Oh God. Let's call the karma cops.
Yeah. Karma cops. All right. So you were saying something earlier about Jacob Frey. You like him?
No, I don't. Like, I watched him on TV and he's just a weasel. So I kind of hope it's him too.
What do they call that when you like bow down to your constituents and act like a fool? Like, I saw him out there doing that. Is that, what do they call that? Kowtowing, or what is that?
Sycophant.
What? A sycophant?
Sycophant, yeah. He's a sycophant.
Yeah, he's definitely
stand up there with his, I guess you would call it righteous indignation, right? You get the fuck out of here. Like, God.
He reminds me of someone who should be like working.
The fake tough guy.
Yeah, like a fake tough guy. Like, you are not tough, dude. Get the hell out of here. You're not tough. You know, you're kowtowing to a bunch of people. Like, he's a poser, is what I would say.
Right, he's a poser for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. But anyway, I'm super interested in it. The reason I'm mostly interested in the Minnesota Somalia thing is because I want the investigations that are going to start there to make their way west to California, where the real money's at, where the $24 billion homeless industrial complex is, where the $80 billion train to nowhere is, where they can't rebuild any of the homes in the Palisades. That's where I want the investigation to make its way out there, where the big money is.
You don't think Gavin did anything, do you?
I mean, directly, who knows? Like, I mean, he's a slimy cocksucker, that guy, man. He is just, I mean, he's one of the guys, like, you have to respect his skill. He can look right into your eyes and tell a bold-faced lie and do it looking at you with complete intention that he is telling the truth. I mean, and lie through his teeth. It's a rare skill. I mean, it's a rare skill of, like,
yeah, I agree. You gotta recognize game. He has got
big time.
Yeah, he's the guy who like slept with his campaign manager's wife or something.
I mean, we had one of those out here too. What was his name? John Ensign. He was a real dreamboat too. his best friend was his campaign manager and was sleeping with his wife on the side because he had leverage on them or something. Just what a scumbag. All these guys are like, ugh.
How did they do that? How do they sleep at night?
I don't know. It's just the most scumbag stuff ever.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on, we've got Venezuela, a couple of topics. Last weekend, Saturday morning, Trump came in there, ran some choppers down, and next thing you know, they got Maduro at 2:00 in the morning in Venezuela. What did you think when you first heard about that?
I mean, the first thing I did, like, wow, and then you learn about it and you watch all the videos and you read the articles with the helicopter squadron from the Army, the Night Stalkers and the Delta Force guys, and they're in and out of there with unbelievable precision. And I mean, the first thing that you have to say is, holy shit, like, our military is not to be played with. Especially under a guy like Trump, who all he cares about is success and winning and, not trying to stay in there for 20 years and nation build. I think I think this guy is, he's remolding the world right now. But I mean, the first thing I said was hats off to our military. Those guys, I mean, the way they executed that mission was pretty spectacular.
Well, one thing real quick. So you mentioned something, and I want to touch on it, and we can come back to it later, but I want to make sure to mention it now. But I do believe that Trump wants to make a legacy, and I believe when he named Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, and now that he's saying, hey, I want Greenland, which he's been saying since the beginning, like, I do believe when Trump's done, we're going to have a larger footprint than we do currently. Like, he wants to make Canada the 51st state. He wants to make Greenland part of the U.S. I wouldn't be surprised if Venezuela ended up becoming South America. I mean, just to touch on that, we can come back there, but I think he looks at this thing and, for people who are sitting on the outside looking in and being like, well, you can't do that. Well, yeah, you can. And nobody's done it in a while, but like the way he looks at things like the Panama Canal, he's like, America's been going the wrong direction for a long time with like Jimmy Carter giving the Panama Canal back to Panama. Trump's like, no, fuck that. We want that shit back. Why did we give it away? We shouldn't have given it away. And he wants to recodify the golden age of America and take some countries back. And he thinks he can do it. And so I said, do it. If we're not going to go to war.
Well, follow me here on this one for a second. So I'm going to go back to his first administration. I always remember people like Carl Icahn, when they would talk about Trump, they would always say, when he negotiates, he keeps you completely off balance. You don't know what angle he's coming from. And so if you think about what has Trump been promising since before he got elected, what's one of the things that he's been promising?
God, that's a tough question.
I'll just answer it for speed. So it's end the Ukraine war on day 1, right?
Yeah.
So we're on like day 400 now, and it's still not ended. And it didn't seem like the negotiations were going anywhere. So to me, I think the guy is playing chess on a chessboard as big as the globe. And he says, okay, Russia, you keep getting into these negotiations. It keeps not going anywhere. Well, I'm just going to chip away at your left flank over here. And then I'm going to chip away at your right flank over here. And then I'm going to chip away behind your back door over here. And before you know it, like, your entire, your footprint is going to be a lot less than it was. So he chips away at Venezuela. Now, they have the things going on with Iran. So those are two gigantic allies of Russia. And so when you think, what is Trump going to get out of this Venezuela and Iran thing? I think he's going to get so many benefits out of it if it goes right. For instance, I mean, at that point, Russia is probably going to have to come to the table regarding Ukraine in a much different way than they had before. A lot of their leverage is gone. They have no more footprint in the Western Hemisphere. Venezuela and Cuba were their major footprint in this part of the world. And now if Venezuela falls, and goes the way of kind of being pro-America. Cuba is going to be, next. So Russia is going to have nothing over here to threaten us with. And then what else happens after that? What are the next downstream effects from that? Well, you can pull oil out of the ground in Venezuela and Iran much cheaper than you can in the United States. And right now, although we're a net exporter of oil, and all that's true, but I think oil has reached as cheap as it can get without bringing Venezuelan and Iranian oil back into non-sanctioned sales. So if you want oil prices to go down any further, you have to do what? You have to up the supply. Well, with the current sanctions regime on those two countries, you can't do that. So in order for Trump to, and I'm going to use the buzzword that everybody's using right now, affordability, to, help America get into a place where everything is more affordable, you have to drive prices down. And the best way to drive prices back down is cheaper energy, because it affects every little thing under the sun. So he gets so many benefits from that. He gets allied countries in the Western Hemisphere. He stops having Russia on our borders. He gets cheaper energy to drive costs down. He forces Russia into a position where they have to negotiate on Ukraine. He gets a much more United States favorable government, hopefully in Iran, which then completely solves most of the problems in the Middle East and allows them to really build that part of the world without exporting terrorism and without kind of the religious strife in that area. I mean, it just solves a lot of problems.
Well, here's what I'll say about that. So when we look at things and we don't know a lot about them, and you're talking, pretty intelligently about a lot of these subjects, but I think, myself and other people, it's like, how much do I know about Venezuela? I don't know a lot. So I go and I say, you know what? Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Because everybody wants to have an opinion about it. And I said, it's not my business. Let's see what the Venezuelan people think. Because that's who should, that it doesn't matter what the fuck I think.
Right.
I said, so when I go, and I happen to know a lot of Venezuelan people, and then I know a lot of Venezuelan people online. And I said, well, everybody that's from or left Venezuela is happy. And every
one of them, to the last one.
Everyone is happy. So I say, you know what? It doesn't matter whether I think we did a good thing or I think we did a bad thing. The Venezuelan people, by a majority, like a huge majority, think we did a great thing. And everybody who is politically on the opposite side of Donald Trump says we did a very bad thing.
Right.
But other than that, when I look at that, I say it doesn't matter what they think because they're not Venezuelan.
Right. No doubt.
So that's the way I looked at that one. So, okay. So what do we know about Iran? I don't know enough. Educate me.
So they're having massive riots over there in a way that has not been seen even during the first part of the Obama administration, where they started rioting thinking that Obama would come to their rescue, and he stood by and did nothing. And he, now he says that was one of the regrets of his presidency, is that he didn't, support the protesters in that. But Donald Trump has come out and said, if the Iranian regime starts shooting protesters, that America is gonna go in there and handle business.
So why does everybody fear Iran?
Well, I don't know. So first of all, I don't think anybody fears Iran anymore. Israel basically destroyed that narrative in 12 days. I mean, when they had complete air superiority over the skies of Iran in 2 hours, I mean, complete air superiority. They were refueling fighter jets over Tehran in 2 hours. So I don't think anybody is necessarily afraid of Iran anymore. But I hate when people say there's no question, but it's been reported, and people seem to think that Iran is the Matt is the main funder of Islamic terrorism around the world now. And with that regime gone, what they're hoping is that allows countries that have figured out how to moderate, like the UAE or Saudi Arabia, to hopefully have that same thing happen in Iran, and have that government and that another country kind of moderate and get away from this whole Islamic terrorism thing, and also bring oil back online for the benefit of the entire world.
So why are Muslims in that area of the world so like crazy, I guess, for lack of a better term?
So I don't know that. So first of all, I don't know that all of them are. I know a lot of Arab guys from that part of the world. I know a lot of Persians, a lot of people that call themselves Iranian, whatever they call themselves, whether it be Persian or Iranian. And none of them seem to be crazy.
Yeah.
I meet them all over, and you wonder, like, how is this all happening? I think what happens is when you're in those countries, and in America, we always judge things from a Western point of view, that we could just go out to the grocery store and buy whatever we want, that we have safe streets, that we have jobs, that we have a thriving economy. And we tend to think of all other countries having the same. And it's not necessarily like that. When you have a government whose main focus is death to America, death to Israel, paying for terrorism around the country, then they fall under a sanctions regime, and the entire world is sanctioning them, and they're not able to sell their goods, and their unemployment is at like 30%, and the value of their currency is zero, and there's not a lot of food in the stores, and there's not a lot of jobs, and there's no money, and it's very difficult to have a good life. People start to turn to other ways to live, right? They like that regime always blamed America and blamed Israel for everything. And then that starts cycling forward.
So it's just interesting. Until you go there, you're really looking at it from the lenses of TV, right?
Totally.
Or social media, I guess. But I've been to Israel. I've been to a lot of the places. My sister lives in the UAE right now. And yeah. It's incredible. The world's a big place. You want to just make sure that you're getting it right a lot of the time. All right, so let's move on to real estate. Let's move on to what's going on. So Trump just announced that he's going to buy $200 billion worth of bonds with tariff money. Did you hear that?
I did.
So what do you think about that?
I think that I mean, that's just another thing that's going to drive rates downward, right? It's another thing that's going to hopefully heat the real estate market up. Yet, I don't know if it'll drive affordability as far as prices are concerned, because the market has to go down for that. But it'll certainly, I think, drive affordability as far as taking the rates down and taking payments down, which I don't know is necessarily the answer. I've been thinking about this over the last couple of days. Since the last time we talked, and we were talking about, my house selling, and then I told you I had the friends of mine that were selling their house in the $1.4 million range. I took a 20% cut on the price of my house to get it sold. We had it listed at $7.5 million. I took $6 million for it just to. I kind of recognize that that's where the market is right now. If I want to move the property, I have to make it happen. And because there's so many people with so much equity, they haven't wanted to take that same leap that I took. They kind of hold. But I really do believe that at least in Las Vegas, the market really is 20% below where it is right now. And that if you want to sell your house, you have to be 20% cheaper than where you thought you would have to be at least a year ago.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree. Things are sitting there. They're not selling, and
there's buyers out there. But even if rates come down, let's say because they're below 6 today, right? Are they below? Yeah, they're below 6, right? So let's say that rates get down to 4. I think people still go, but the house is $600,000. A couple of years ago, this house was 300,000. I think even though the payment is going to be less and the payment is going to be something that they can afford, I think that if prices stay where they are, I think the appetite to buy something at what most people are considering is an inflated price, I think it's going to be tough.
Says it's 6.2% right now. 6.2.
No, I read earlier it got down to 5.99.
Hold on. Oh, wait. Around 6.06.
It's at 5.99. It dipped below 6% for the first time.
Really? When did that happen? Today?
Yeah, I just had it up on my email a little while ago.
Okay, so there was a cut today. If interest rates keep going down, that's a good thing for everybody. We already know that. That's what we've been talking about the whole time. And I think that, the one things that every American should want is the ability to borrow for cheap and low income taxes and low taxes in general. When you move into different states, like I just recently did, you realize how many bullshit taxes states have, right? Like Missouri's got a fucking bunch of bullshit, and Kansas City as a jurisdiction has a bunch of bullshit. And, we're taxed to death. And now California's got a bunch of bullshit. Even Nevada has a bunch of bullshit. Whether you're paying it at the pump. I mean, Nevada doesn't have a state income tax, but you've got, you can't live in a place without an HOA. You can't.
Right. The DMV fees are outrageous.
Right. You're paying money for something. And the reality is, it's like, oh, by the fucking way, let me tell you one thing about Missouri. I have been in 4 car accidents since I've been here, none of which have been my fault, and 3 of which, no, 1, 2, yeah. Well, 2 of which had uninsured drivers, 3 of them. So the one just recently was 2 uninsured drivers, and then one before that was an uninsured driver, and then another lady who didn't want to admit fault. Thank God I had a witness, but shit, man, a couple things on that one. Number 1, get a freaking dash cam. Number 2, make sure you got insurance to cover shit. But I really can't blame people for not having insurance because it's so damn expensive. Like, to get a liability insurance for some people, it might cost them $500, $400, $600 a month for a liability insurance. Like, I can't blame them for not, like, take the fucking ticket, right? Like, just hopefully you don't hit someone. But I got hit by 2 people that both of them had no insurance. And so,
but I'm sure you have no fault insurance, right?
Yeah, but then you look at things and you say, do I file the claim? Because my insurance is going to go up, because whether or not I got in an accident and it's not my fault, they don't give a shit.
Yep, they had to pay.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'd almost rather not have insurance, because what do I care? Like, I'm not going to file my insurance is $1,000 a month for all my cars, or I don't know. I think it's something like, I think it's like around $8,000 a year. And I have it really down to like almost nothing. Like, I have like liability just on my rental, on my cars that are paid off, and I have comprehensive on the other ones. And I think it might be around, I don't know, $8,000 to $12,000, something around there. It was like 13 to 14. I think I got it down to like 7. But I don't blame people who don't have insurance. It's just they can't afford it, man. What are they getting for their insurance?
I mean, I'm overinsured, so I can't.
But think about that. If you got no money, and you've got a $5,000 vehicle, you're going to pay $300 a month to insure that $5,000 vehicle?
Of course not.
Yeah. So there's a lot of problems with the laws out there when the big corporations are making them. We've got laws like that affect small people. Hey, thank you so much for tuning into our podcast right now. I am so happy that you are here. You are in the right spot to be getting inspired by other people that have just achieved their goals so that you can achieve your goals. Do me a favor. leave us a 5-star review. It really helps us grow, and give us comments and feedbacks. We read those. It helps us grow. The most important person in this podcast is the listener, right? And so if you give us your feedback, it will allow us to create a better podcast for you. And make sure you enjoy the show and leave us a 5-star review. So Trump's talking about repealing income tax.
Yeah, they said if they could balance the budget with tariffs and have, the external revenue service, they would rather have, tariff revenue cover income tax rather than the internal revenue service where it's taxing American citizens. That's a story that's been around for a while.
The bigger question is, do you actually think it's going to happen?
No.
Yeah. Like, it seems like once a tax is there, it doesn't go away.
Well, listen, it's not that I don't think that it's not that I don't think that he would do it. He would do it. I don't think the tariff revenue is going to get there.
Yeah. I mean,
because if he did it, they would have to find place on Mount Rushmore for his face, right? Like there would be no choice at that point.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's so hard to find out what's really going on. You think with the more transparency of things, like, that we'd be able to know, hey, he's doing a good job, he's doing a bad job. It's like people are so, I wonder sometimes if I'm just delusional. It's like, okay, I like this guy a lot. Do I just like him? Am I really just logical down the middle, or am I just like brainwashed and I like him a lot? I don't know.
Well, that got put to the test this week for me. Because I'm a super fan too, right? Forever, long before he was in politics. I love his book, Art of the Deal, and all of that.
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Same here.
I even have, a copy of The Art of the Comeback, which is not even in publish anymore, which I love that book. But, my love for him got a little tested this week. And what I'm hoping is the things that he said are just him like planting his flag way out in the North Pole and then seeing how far he can drag people towards his position. So the first thing, and the one that we probably need to talk about most, is that no more multinational companies able to buy single family residences. And listen, back in the day, I used to represent Fundamental REO, and then they turned into Frio, and now they're called Progress Residential. And they're one of the largest, owner of single family homes. And I said it back then in 2015 when we started with them, that if this thing takes off, this is going to destroy the American dream. And they're going to turn everybody into a renter. And this is going to destroy what is like the main pillar of the American dream. And I was right. These guys own so many homes right now. They're a massive destroyer of the affordability situation in this country as far as housing is concerned. I'm super against them using single family homes as an asset class to be traded on Wall Street. I'm incredibly against it. But the problem is that's the system we got, right? That's capitalism. And there's great things that happen from capitalism, and there's things that suck that happens from capitalism, and that's one of them.
Yeah, I couldn't, it's weird because I own, a couple hundred properties.
Yeah, but they're not a multinational corporation.
But what is a multinational corporation?
Well, so I think the way, like, I just saw a video with Charlie Kirk talking about it at one of his events, and he said companies with a $500 billion balance sheet, they should not be able to buy single family homes.
So how much?
500 billion. So basically what he's saying is BlackRock, Blackstone, American Homes for Rent, any of the big
500 billion. Should it be like, I don't know, 5 billion?
Yeah, I would be much more agreeable to that. I just think that the single family home, not just being a cornerstone of the American dream to be a homeowner for average people, but it's also most of the time the first investment that people make after their home. When they buy their first rental house, it's the first investment that they make to bring them into the investor class that really starts putting them on a path to being able to gain wealth, and when these big companies come in here and do it, it just completely screws the individual investor. It completely screws the normal guy who's trying to buy a couple renters to create something great for his family and hand down to his kids. It's just a bunch of bean counters on Wall Street, just destroying
that's the thing, and I think that's we
just
should
destroying the fabric of the country.
we should transition and finish out on that. Is that the fact of the matter is that real estate, by and large, and especially people listening to this show, is owned by mom and pa.
Yeah.
And when I talk about mom and pa, I'm talking about you and me. I'm talking about like even people, I know guys who own,
all the guys that have gone to your coaching, all the guys that listen to you.
Even guys larger than me that have like, syndications, and they may have 300 units. What they don't understand, or they might have 3,000 units, but what they don't understand is most of that is debt, right? Most of that is, other people's money who have invested in that, like maybe a janitor, or maybe like a doctor, or maybe, somebody who's put the down payment in the syndication. So real estate, by and large, has always been an asset class similar to your 401k, where somebody is putting together their money to invest in. And when you start taking multinational corporations and they start conglomerizing all of these things, it's not good. It's just the same as, somebody like Standard Oil controlling the price of gas, or, everybody loses when somebody has a monopoly over something, or has a large, even if it's not a monopoly, if there's just a few big players. Like the fact that there's just Google doesn't help everybody. There should be more choices. Like when you go to Yahoo, it's like, God, guys, kick it in fucking gear. Like these guys haven't done anything in 10 or 15 years. Yeah. And so AI is going to break that up, because Google's going to, but Google's involved with AI. Yeah. There's a lot of things that are going to change in the future here. But I think that, even there's not any small farms anymore. They're all multinational corporations, and who suffers? You and me, right?
Yeah. And I just think that this issue in particular, the large scale buying of single family residences and turning them into, bonds that are traded on Wall Street, I just think tears away at the fabric of America. And really, everybody, okay, why should I care? Okay. So even the immigrant communities, when they come here legally and they swear an oath to this country, they get their citizenship, first, and especially first generation immigrants, you very rarely see those guys invest in the stock market. They come here, they work hard, they save their money, they buy their home. And when they want to start investing, trying to create a better life for their family, I'm going to go and say well into the high 90% of the time, their first investments are always other houses. And that's how they build for their family. They don't get involved in the stock market. They get involved in houses. And so I think it's important for everybody. It's important for kids coming out of college that they should care about it, because they're the ones getting squeezed out of the affordability. Everybody should care about it. I should care about it. You should care about it. Everybody should care about it, that these companies are literally buying thousands and thousands and thousands of homes. It has taken the real estate market to heights in price that nobody imagined before. And again, the most important thing is it's keeping young people out of the housing market, because they can't afford it. No amount of rate drops is going to change that. You have to solve the supply issue. And while these guys are gobbling up houses, there's plenty of other asset classes for them to invest in: office, multifamily, flex, big warehouses. data centers. They can invest in all kinds of things. They should just leave single family homes to everyday Americans. And
Yeah, I also kind of agree with that on the builder side of things. I think that, there's too many large builders.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I think the more pressing problem, though, right now with affordability and what's keeping people out of the housing market. See, the difference is to this: when KB builds a home, or there's a tri-state builder out here, America West, or these guys have it so dialed in that they're able to build homes for cheaper than anybody else, and in turn, theoretically, they're supposed to then be able to offer that home at a better price than anybody else. Whereas, these guys like American Homes for Rent or Progress or all of these guys, they're sucking money out of the system. They're extracting, they're not adding any benefit to. A builder is adding benefit to. Sure, he's making a profit, as well he should. That's the system we have. Yeah. And they're adding two things. These hedge fund guys, with a single family home, they're doing nothing but extracting. They're sucking wealth out of the pockets of everyday Americans. They're sucking wealth out of communities, and I think that they're turning entire neighborhoods into rental communities, and they're hurting all of the homeowners around them.
There's something that I think that everybody should pay attention to. And the one thing that I'll say about it is that the pen is always mightier than the sword. We started this thing with, hey, Venezuela, Minnesota, Somalia, all these things, which are basically big fights. But what you really need to pay attention to is the laws that are being passed, and how, when you change a law, you can change someone's wealth. When you make it legal for someone to do something, or when you make it illegal for someone not to do something, things are happening. And when you say, hey, you know what, to build this house, you got to comply with all this environmental code, or to do this, you've got to do that. And the reality is, or in Las Vegas, if you want to put a new house on the city's water line, you're going to pay $30,000 just to tap into that, because there's a large corporation. And so what I think that people need to pay attention to is the laws that are being passed and how they affect them. I have seen this and I may have mentioned this before, but I'll re-mention it one more time for those who are listening right now. I sit on the Platte County Planning and Zoning Board. Okay. We vote on things as a commission, and we were recently going to vote on a cell phone tower that came in, and the guys who advise us, which is the staff, and this works basically the same thing in the United States Congress, in the House of Representatives, in the Senate, and on every state, federal, and local level. You have staff, and then you have people like me who are elected and unelected and appointed, basically politicians. I would be basically a politician because I can make a vote to change something, right? And the staff advises those people, whether they're congressmen or senators or whatever, and the staff says to me, Troy and everybody else, we just want to let you know that the cell phone tower, you basically have to vote yes on, because they're a public utility, and you can't do this, and you can't do that, and you can't do this, and you can't do this, because the law is written in such and such and so forth. And basically what they were saying is, you can't vote no. You have to vote yes, because X, Y, and Z, and the federal law says P, D, and Q. And so I'm looking it up on AI as I'm there, and I'm doing as much research as I can possibly do. And I'm like, there's only two reasons I can vote no on this thing, legally or whatever, ethically or whatever they want to call it. But the fact that that's a law is stupid. It's just stupid. And if we're sitting in here and we're kind of complaining, the one thing that I have figured out is the pen is mightier than the sword. You've got to change the rules. Like as we sit there and you saw a big shift with NAR and the realtors and the law changed, right? And now all these things happen because someone got sued and some attorneys got involved and attorneys changed the law on how real estate agents could charge for commission.
Yeah.
So if you're going to make a change, then you've got to make like I didn't understand how everything worked, but we know that federal supersedes state. State supersedes city. City supersedes county, right? So you've got to vote at the federal level, and everything that's happening at the federal level has to benefit people at the local level.
I just hope people are paying attention. I agree with everything that you just said. I really do hope that people start putting a focus on this. Multinational companies, these hedge funds that are buying these houses and turning them into rentals. This is a big deal. I mean, this is one of the things, I keep using the same term. This is one of the things that is tearing away at the fabric of our country. And having sat in the front row for some of that, it is a massive, massive, massive problem. And I did some research today. It's not like Trump can just, sign an executive order saying, well, we're not going to allow them to securitize anymore. That's outside of the purview of the executive branch. He would have to work with Congress to, make new laws that single family residences can't be used as an asset class traded on Wall Street, which would then mess around with the financial markets. So it's going to be really, really tough to see how this gets done. But it is a massive problem that needs to be looked into.
How many homes are owned by multinational corporations?
Several hundred thousand.
Mm. And I would imagine that they're concentrated.
It could be millions. I'm just, grok.
Key statistics. Institutional investors typically defined as owning 100 plus homes, including equity funds, own roughly 3 to 3.8% or 450 to 574,000 homes is what it says right here. The 5 largest players own $300,000 per older GAO figures. Large investors that own. So let's see. Major players, portfolio sizes, Invitation Homes, spun off of Blackstone, owns 85,000 homes. Progress Residential owns 97,000 homes. American Homes for Rent owns 61,000 homes. State Street doesn't say anything about them. So yeah, those are the numbers right there.
I mean, so we're at least 300,000 houses.
Well, it sounds like 400,000.
That's a lot of houses.
Yeah, I agree, man. Because here's what happens is they did the same thing with the fucking stock market. I mean, and I don't know how the hell. What's this guy's name who runs BlackRock? Steve
Schwartzman.
No, it's not Steve Schwartzman.
Yeah. And then there's Larry, and then there's
Larry Fink.
Yeah, Larry Fink and Steve Schwartzman are the BlackRock and Blackstone.
Okay. I mean, how are these guys controlling, and where does their money come from?
I mean, pension funds, other private equity.
So they're using
sovereign wealth funds.
Yeah.
All over the place.
All right, man. So tell me what's going on next week. We're bouncing out of here. It's getting late. God, it's 10:50. What time is it? Shit, it's 10:35 in Kansas City. It's 8:35 in Vegas p.m. on a Friday night after a big hunt. You're heading to Orlando tomorrow?
I'm headed to Orlando. We have a school security conference for our AI business that we're going to. I'm then from there, I'm headed down to Miami. I'm also going to go. I have a vacation house in Palm Beach that we just demoed, and we're going to get ready to put it back together. So I'm going to go look at that. And then I'm meeting my oldest friend in the entire world. We've been friends since we were 14 years old. and he is building a resort on Long Island in the Bahamas called Coconut Bay. And I think I might just take a couple days and go lay on the beach for a minute in the Bahamas.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
YOLO. I mean, dude, like you're not getting any younger. You know.
Whoa.
Listen, I got news for you. It is true.
Whoa. Easy. Listen, I am a product of modern medical science. I fully intend on getting younger and looking younger and being in the best shape of my life as I get older.
So are you working on that right now? You've dropped some weight.
Yeah.
So I'm on 75 hard right now. I will be 170 pounds by March something.
Wow. You're a champ. Yeah. I saw your Instagram story today making eggs. That's a lot of pepper in those eggs.
Oh, I was taking it easy. I didn't record the whole thing, man. That's fucking, people would think a lot about me. I love pepper, man. There's nothing, if you want to make anything good with no calories, add spice.
Salt. Yes,
Salt or pepper. Yeah. Or any sort of like garlic or Monterey or anything like spices have no calories.
Yeah.
Mustard has no calories.
And I don't know if I told you, I got a call from one of the lawyers that used to represent me. I'm not going to say her name until she tells me that I can. But, when we posted that video about the water situation here in Nevada, she's probably one of the foremost experts on water and mineral rights in the state. I'm going to try to get her to come on the show so we could ask her questions. She's very interesting, incredibly smart. She's just, she is my favorite attorney of all time. She was, I loved it when she represented me. She was just the best, the smartest of all time.
Speaking of which, who's the best attorney? What makes a great attorney?
It depends on what situation. So she was my real estate attorney, and the depth of her knowledge and the breadth of her knowledge. She went wide and deep, and she thought about things in a real way without just acting. She was very thoughtful about the way she helped me through transactions. And the advice that she gave me, like we had one property that was on a golf course, and it was in the middle of the city, and there was some talk that because that golf course was on a well, that he was going to sell the water rights to the city, and then basically that would have gotten him his money back, and then he would have just let the golf course go, which would have devastated that neighborhood. She walked me through all of that, and she walked me through it just like off the cuff. Like she didn't even have to do any research. Her knowledge base was so deep that she walked me through it right on the spot.
So a smart attorney that can navigate the play of field is a good attorney. But like
in that instance, and then you have litigators like, my friend Sam. I think he's a great litigator. He's smart, he's thorough, and he likes to fight. He likes
going to trial.
Yeah, he likes to fight.
Well, a lot of people are scared to go to trial.
No, not Sam. He likes to fight.
Well, think about that. What's most people's number one biggest fear?
Public speaking.
So that doesn't exclude attorneys.
No, right, for sure.
There's a lot of attorneys that don't. That's why cases settle, because they don't want to go to court. They don't want to publicly speak. So a great litigator is going to be at the top of their game, because they're not scared to public speak, I
agree. I think so. Sam, like, he likes to fight, and he'll go to trial, but even he'll tell you that, it's not like especially when you go to a jury trial, like it's a tough deal. You're not getting you and I sitting in the jury box most of the time. You're not getting the very highly educated people that understand your situation. You're getting the people that answer the jury summons. Yeah. And not to say anything bad about it, about them, but you just never know who you're going to get. You just never know.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they're trying to avoid that unknown.
Yeah, man. I mean, juries are known to make some pretty cataclysmic awards, and the justice system isn't fair, the legal system isn't fair, and I hope you have a good time in Orlando. Guys, make sure whatever I always want to leave people with a thought, no matter what we talked about today. The thing that has made me wealthy and the thing that'll make you wealthy and the thing that makes everybody rich, and the reason that we're both here to get together today to talk about things is real estate. We might digress and go to talk about politics and stuff, but two things I can say for sure is, one, buy real estate, two, take action. Whatever it is you're doing, take action and buy real estate. Like, if you start right now and you're listening and you're at the end of this program and you're thinking, man, well, what the hell? What should I learn today? The bottom line is, be informed and buy real estate, or don't be informed and buy real estate. It doesn't really matter. But if you buy real estate, you don't need to be informed. But real estate will make you wealthy. It will make you wealthier than any of your friends. I'm sure, Jason, you could sit there and say, man, I wish I would have bought this. I wish I would have bought that. I could say the same. And there's so many times where just by holding, like, let's talk about that Palm Beach house to kind of end things out. Like, what did you pay for it, and what is it worth, and how long have you owned it?
So it's an interesting story, and I'm gonna take a minute here to tell it.
Sure, please do.
So for a couple of years, about 10 years ago, I really wanted to move to Florida, and I was going to join the Canyon Gate Country Club out here. And back then, they were managed by some golf management company called Club Corps. Club Corps had golf courses all across the country. So I said, well, if I join Canyon Gate, I automatically get Bears Best for free. Let me see what other courses they have. If I want to move to Florida, I want to stay with a Club Corps golf course. And I was going through Florida, and I came upon PGA National in Palm Beach Gardens. And I was like, holy shit, look at this place. It's got a hotel, it's got a spa, it's got restaurants. It has 6 golf courses on property. I said, man, this is just like the community that I live in now. I could go here and start flipping houses just like I'm doing in my own community. I could remake that. The PGA National was built in the late 80s. I was like, hell, this is just like the place that I'm living now. I'm having huge success flipping houses here, turning this community around. I could just do the same thing over there. And that one had, I think, 6-7 times the amount of homes. So nothing ever came of it. My wife didn't want to leave her sister and her family, who all live out here. So we decided not to do it. Fast forward 10 years, a friend of ours comes over to our home office, and he's a fast talking guy, Jason Smith. I love him to death. And he's like, oh man, I got these 61 townhouses in Arkansas. You know anybody that wants them? I said, well, shit. One of my friends, Steve Whitlock, who is also going to be a guest on the show. He just wrote a book about private mortgage notes. I said, let me call Steve and see if we can get it. Anyway, so we get the deal done over there. And he said, man, I wish I would have come in here yesterday. I had this house in Florida that was a great deal. I was like, really? Where about in Florida? What's the address? Pull it up on Google Maps, and it's right in that community that I wanted to buy in. And he's telling me the story. And he goes, yeah, the lady sold it, 2 days ago, but the guy hasn't deposited earnest money yet. And I said, really? When was he supposed to deposit earnest money? He was supposed to have it in there by yesterday. What did they sell it for? Well, he sold it for $530,000. I said, call her right now. Tell her if she cancels that deal because he hasn't deposited earnest money, I'll give her $535 cash, and the earnest money will be in escrow in 10 minutes. And he called her, and we did the deal right there.
So you paid $535,000 for it.
Within a year, it was worth $1.2 million.
Is it a townhouse?
No.
So it's a single family house on the golf course.
Yeah, 5,000 square foot, one story.
Okay, so it's 5,000 square foot in Palm Beach Gardens.
Yeah, PGA National.
How much is the house worth?
Well, when I'm done with it, I think it'll be $3 million.
And you paid how much for it?
$535.
So what is the best investment class?
Real estate, period.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember I mean, all the houses that I do are big numbers like that, right? But I mean, there's just no other investment class that allows you to leverage so little money to make so much.
And you've had this as a rental for how many years?
I mean, since we bought it. There's been renters in there paying up until a few months ago when we kicked them out, and they left the house so disgusting. I had to gut the whole thing just to even let it sit there.
You're doing this from afar.
Yeah. I'm going out there because I have a contractor that I like out there. My friend Jeremy Spozzato from Sposen Homes is a home builder in Cape Coral. He's got a half of his crew is on the East Coast, so he said I could utilize a lot of his people. But yeah, we're basically going to do it from afar. I'm going to set up a bunch of web cameras in the house, and
I like how you're thinking, man.
I'm going to go to it.
Use some of those game cameras, or they work good, man. I was checking mine right now. All right, man. Well, have a safe trip. We'll see you next week, guys. Make sure you invest in real estate. You just saw how 500,000 can turn into 3 million. How long have you owned it?
6 years, 5 years, 5 years, 5 years.
I would say that's a pretty good investment.
Yeah. I mean, our mortgage is so cheap; it's unbelievable. This is another one. Our mortgage is like $1,700.
Stop talking. All right,
man. But our insurance is $2,800 a month.
Yeah. Welcome to Florida.
Yeah, that's why I'm going out there. I'm putting a new roof and hurricane windows, and it's going to drop it down dramatically.
Awesome, man. Well, have a safe trip. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Man, I am so happy that you turned into the Millionaire Mentorship Podcast. It's something that I've been working on for over 3 years right now. We're up to 150 podcast episodes. A lot of them are virtual. A lot of them are in studio, which is what we prefer. If you have a guest that you think that should be on our podcast, all you got to do is comment who it is, and we'll reach out to them. Or if you want to reach out to them and reach out to us, we'd love to have them on a show. We're looking for entertaining, inspirational people that, just like you hear on the podcast every week, that can bring value and help our listening audience achieve their goals. If that's something for you, comment down below and let us know.